And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guests are John and E.J. Craig, authors and inventors of UFO-Track. John and E.J., thanks for joining me and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks for having us.
Good to be here.
Can you share with us a little bit about your scientific backgrounds and how this led to you to developing UFO-Track?
Sure. I'll go first. I started off as a software engineer and writing books for Microsoft and O'Reilly in programming topics, and I've always been interested in technical things. When I was in high school, I had a very strange experience with UFO sighting, and ever since then, I've been chasing UFOs, let's just say. And in recent times, I wanted to create a detector, but not just a normal UFO detector. Something goes way beyond that to help us get towards disclosure. So my background is in math, science, technical things. That's things I like to do.
I grew up the daughter of an aerospace engineer, and he always had me staring at the skies and the rocket launches and everything like that. Ended up with a mathematics degree and programming and everything like that. When I married John, he also had me looking up at the stars, but with a slightly different point of view. So we play off on each other because they're both scientifically and mathematically motivated, and we came up with UFO-Track and developed it together, and it's really, really fun. We're having a lot of success with the detections and building our network, so it's really fun.
Before we get into your network, I'd like to talk about your device. I believe it's called UFO Sense. What
Yes.
is it and how does it work?
I have it right here. It's like I said before, it's a UFO detector, but other people have made UFO detectors. You just plug it into the got the cable there. You plug this into the wall. After you set it up to connect to your Wi-Fi, it just sits there silently, and if anything disturbs the Earth's magnetic field or gravitic field, it will, after 2 seconds of constant change, it will then set off an alert, which is a lot of beeping on the device so you can hear it if you're at home. But it also sends out through the Wi-Fi, it'll send out alerts to your cell phone and to other members' cell phones within 50 miles. So you could be at the grocery store and you'll still get the alert if something triggers your sensor.
If you can explain it in layman's terms, how does that device, which in my opinion is pretty small, measure the Earth's magnetic field and the gravitational field, and how can it detect the changes?
With today's circuitry, there are some chips that are very small that can detect magnetic fields very accurately. And there's a little microcontroller in there that's probably got more power than what we landed on the moon with. It's amazing what you can get for low prices. And one chip detects the Earth's magnetic field, all three directions, 3 axes, and the other chip detects accelerations. So the Earth has a constant acceleration, 1g, as they say, towards the center of the Earth. So if that changes for more than 2 seconds steadily, that means, there's some lifting or everything's getting a little bit heavy. And there's some evidence that can happen. I think the magnetic field detector is probably going to be triggered more often because there's a lot of cases in the studies of UFOs that show that pilots have seen their compasses spin and other people have detected magnetic field shifts. So we're pretty sure that it will, in fact, we've had a few experiences already where it's been set off.
Both the magnetic and the gravitic. So if it was like a gravity field, think of how it feels when you drop in the elevator. It's that kind of feeling. Have you ever been somewhere and just got this instant, like, weird dizzy spell? And, what caused that? Who knows? Could be an earth pressure wave, could be all sorts of anything. But it's that kind of pressure that's actually detectable with these devices. And we can tell if something changes. And if it changes for more than 2 seconds, then we alert everybody that we can alert and say something's going on.
How did you come up with that number of 2 seconds?
There's always noise. The Earth's magnetic field has a little jitter to it. The gravity has a little bit of jitter to it in the sensors. The signals jitter a little bit. But on the average, it'll shoot around above and below on the very, very sensitive gravity detection. So if the signal is just bouncing up and down below it, it'll average out over 2 seconds. It'll be above it and below it at least several times in 2 seconds. So if it goes a whole 2 seconds, there's something very unique going on. So there's experimentation trying to figure out for sure what would be not too sensitive, but very sensitive for a significant change in the gravity field.
What range around the device is it measuring? Like a mile, half a mile?
That's a good question. There's been evidence that pilots can get their magnetic compass to spin from an object that's several hundred or thousands of feet away. And yet that takes an immense amount of shift in the gravity or the magnetic field of the Earth to do that. But there's a lot of evidence that is happening. And
it depends on the strength of the disruption, how far away it is.
Yeah.
But we can get it to go off by putting a refrigerator magnet right next to it. And then, like I said, airlines have seen things, several thousand feet, if not longer, not miles away, making their compasses spin. So it depends on the size of the disruptor, how far away that really will detect.
And there's also a lot of automobiles have had their engines stopped, and it takes an immense change in the magnetic field to do that from the studies they've done. So we figure there's got to be some strong magnetic effects from UFOs.
What are the results like from your field tests?
Well, we've had some fun with that. We had a gentleman in the rural mountains of Colorado. He got a magnetic alert, and he went outside instantly. He's very much a UFO buff, very, very much aware, and just went outside, but his skies were just perfectly blue. But he realized that the neighbor's cows were just going off, just as he called it, screaming. And they were screaming for about a half an hour, and our device detected 4 times. So there was something interfering with the magnetic field enough to set off the device and to agitate those animals for a full half hour. We couldn't see anything, and nobody got any photographs, but we were able to document those 2 effects as a paranormal instance. So doesn't prove anything, but it does, we're collecting data all the way through. And then we've had people that have had the gravitic thing go off, and other detectors in the area, other professional military detectors in the area. You said you know who Katie is, Katie Page. She was one of our beta testers, and they had their gravitic device go off. And they also said that one of the militaries, sure one of our sources, said that they also did too. So something was over her house, and then 15 miles down the road over Colorado Springs, the same moment. So something traveled through.
And it was overcast, so she couldn't see anything. Maybe because
that was a cloudy day.
Yeah.
So, but we've had
something happened. Yeah.
Something happened.
Have you ever had the device go off and you went outside and saw a UFO?
Almost. We had one of our devices go off again in rural Colorado, but our people weren't at home. They were on the road, and they heard the text message, and they also saw a big light descend and just almost land simultaneously. So, and it was a little bit further than their house, and they did not go investigate. They said if it was down on the ground, they didn't want to get too close. So, yes, we've seen something where the device got off, and people who are already outside saw a light descend from the sky.
Do you leave it plugged in 24 hours a day?
Mm-hmm. It's we call it a silent sentinel. It just is just sitting there on the shelf in the background. Once it gets set up, you don't have to do anything to it. It'll just alert if it needs to. You can test it and make sure that it's still going, because it is so silent. Sometimes you go, is it really doing it? but all you have to do is go bump it and it'll beep. And if it does, you're in good shape.
Can you have any false positives?
I'm sure that that's possible. In fact, I know one here at our house. After I got my first beta unit set up here in the basement, it went off, and I said, "Oh, great, what's going on?" And I ran outside, but didn't see anything. But we had just had some friends help move a washing machine down the stairwell. It was right through the wall from it, and so that much metal shifted the Earth's magnetic field. Then in another case, I set it up out in the garage on the wall, and it went off. And it turned out our solar energy panels have the cabling right to an inverter right through the wall on the other side. And was it the solar energy went off that day, Henny? What was that deal?
It was just coming back on, and it had surged through the conduit to the inverter.
Just enough to be able to set it off.
Just enough to set it off. We looked, and we do that once we get an alert. It's like, okay, what else is happening? And I did check my Solar Edge app and saw that the solar came back on just right exactly at the same time. So it was just bad placement of the device. So we wanted on like an interior wall up where it's not going to get bumped, and just keep it in the background. It just needs to run in the background, not get disturbed or even thought about until it goes off.
How many units do you have that are out there working right now?
We've been at it for a short period of time, so we don't have a lot of them yet, but there's a lot of interest. And
roughly 55. Yeah. Roughly 55. We have 55 units out there right now.
We've got one in Tasmania, France.
Yeah, Tasmania's gone off. Yeah, they are in 8 different countries, mostly in the U.S., but there are in 8 different countries right now. And we have had international alerts, so that's fun.
Why would a craft interfere with the Earth's magnetic field and the gravitational field?
Best theory is that somehow whatever their anti-gravity or other, however they move around and hover in the sky more or less silently, must have a strong electromagnetic characteristic to it. So that's just evidence. We're going to do some more research, but we've got literally probably 100 different cases that we filed away that have to do with magnetic and electromagnetic effects associated with UFOs. It's pretty common.
So all the way back to Kenneth Arnold, seeing the original ones, he was a pilot. And there were other witnesses on the day of Kenneth Arnold that also had compasses spinning. Pilots all say that their compasses are spinning. Engines go out. All sorts of stuff just happens. So whatever is happening in the aircraft or the object, whatever propulsion system they are using is electric base or metal base, or even, some people swear it's liquid mercury spinning around in a really fast toroid or something like that, which of course is going to affect the magnetic field around it.
This device will also send a text message to your phone when it's going off if you're not home.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, wherever you're at, it goes to through your Wi-Fi to the server, and the server has a list of the telephone numbers within 50 miles. It calculates all the members within 50 miles, and you're one of them. So all of them get a text alert right away. So we can all get out there and with multiple cameras and get those multi-angle shots. If we can get 2 camera views of the same incident, or even just 2 people seeing the same object, that increases the credibility. And with multiple cameras, we've got some software working on that can do triangulation and determine altitude, velocity, speed,
size,
and size, and things that just can't be, that hasn't been accessed for most researchers to date. It's hard to get the distance, for instance, because you never know what you're looking at on something really exotic and strange. You can't tell how big it is, how far it is. It's moving around fast. It's elusive to know if it's in a camera view, especially. It might be a bird just 200 feet away, or it might be a big black mothership 200 miles away. You just don't know in most cases.
UFO Sense is the hardware device, and UFO-Track is the network.
Yes. We have a Patreon network, and then we also have 2 websites. One is members.ufo-track.com, and sightings.ufotrack.com. If you're a member, you can get into those databases, which are mapping databases, so that you can see where things are. So you can see where your people are, and you can see where the devices are, whether or not you need a device, or if there's a device close enough to you that you're within 50 miles of a device, then all you have to do is become a member and you'll get notification. Or if we need coverage there, then you'll need to get the device. But UFO Sense is the automatic detection, but our network is human detection. So we have another website called report.ufotrack.com, where anybody who sees anything can report in real time. If you're seeing something, we want you to see report.ufotrack.com. And there's always a hyphen between the UFO and track when I say that. Anybody can report, and it's a very, very fast report. Basically, you just say it's a light, or it's a sphere, or it's a triangle, or it's a tic-tac or something like that heading northeast. And that will be what comes out into the text message to the people, so that they can get the text message, look at the place where they'll get a map, so they can see the place on the map that reported, and then they know which direction the object was going. So they know when they go outside just where to look and what to look for. And hopefully they've got a camera in hand and aren't all shaky and excited, and we can get some really good photos. So yeah, our network can also report, our devices also report. So between the two, we're hoping that we can get a lot of good UFO reports out there.
The membership is really the most important part. If we can get a lot of members, just at the $5 a month to cover the cost of the texting and the server, if we can just get a lot of members, then we can really make a lot of progress here. The UFO Sense enhances the ability to get all these reports together, but it's the people network that we're really shooting for.
The device will let us know something's happening, but the memberships will tell us what it is.
What if I was a member of the network and I don't have a device, but I happen to walk outside and see a ship? Can I manually make a post, and then everybody will get the alert and go outside?
Yeah, that's report.ufotrack.com.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's designed just for that situation. It's real fast report. It's not a filling out a great big long report. It's just something real quick to get your location, what you've seen real quick to other members within 50 miles.
And the direction that it's going if you can.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then that will automatically go onto our sightings map. And then if somebody within that 50 miles also sees it, then they can put in another report.ufotrack.com and tell us where it is and where it's going. And hopefully we can start tracking that geographically across the country.
As we get enough members, that gets more and more possible. That's our goal.
How long have you had the network operational?
Just barely getting started, honestly. Our first real foray into this was, it went live in November. We've been having beta testers since last May, but it went live to the public in November. So we're just barely getting the word out, ramping up. As soon as we ramped up, of course, the holidays hit. So this is the first of the year we're really, really ramping up.
This year should really ramp up.
What kind of success have you had with the network?
We have had the general public put in some reports, and it works. All we can say is that the technology works. Somebody will put in a report.ufotrack.com, and it also triggers an email to them that says, now tell us more what you saw. Once the object's passed, the event's over, now tell us more what you saw. And attach any photos or videos that you might have had. And we got one, 3-4 weeks ago, where it was from the general public. It wasn't a member, so it went to the map, but it didn't alert everybody, because I don't want spoofs out there, somebody just hitting it. So you've got to be a member to actually get the report.ufotrack to automatically alert everybody in the network. But he did get the triggered email and replied back with a photo before I even had a chance to go to my computer. It was sitting there waiting for me. So he knew enough to hit report.ufotrack.com, and then he went and got the email, and then he replied back in with a photo of an orb, and it was pretty cool. So
That's awesome.
but if you were a member, if he had been a member, the alert would have gone out to probably about 10 people that were probably within 50 miles of him that we've got in the southern Colorado area, and they all could have gone out, looked, and we might have ended up with a bigger event. But because he wasn't a member, we have to vet those first, just for our members' protection.
You have a radius of 50 miles, right?
Yes.
That it'll notify. Can a UFO be seen within that 50-mile radius? Like if someone's 50 miles away from me, I could still see the UFO that they're seeing?
It's possible. It is possible.
We had one the other day where it came in through the Ring camera. I noticed that somebody said, "Hey, is that a UFO?" Out on the Ring camera. And I'm like, what is he talking about? So we ran outside as if it had come in through the network. Unfortunately, it hadn't, but we acted like it had. And we both went to two different locations and we saw it. And basically it was a weather balloon, but it was 35 miles away. And weather balloons aren't that huge, but it was glinting off the sun, and we could see it for a great distance. And 50 miles away from us is a little bit above the foothills. And we can see things flying in the sky that far away. Think of how far away aircraft probably are when you can see them when they're small little dots. The 50 miles is pretty easy. But we came up with the 50-mile radius because of listening to aircraft safety, pilot safety, things that just said when they send out alerts, it's to all pilots within 50 miles, this is happening. And so we thought, 50 miles is a good radius. So we chose that. And we can always change it if we ever need to. But yeah, we do believe that people can see even small things in the sky or far away things at 50 miles.
On your website, do you teach people how to identify UFOs so they won't be misidentifying things?
We do that a couple of different ways. We have our weekly debrief meetings. So basically when an alert comes in, we talk about it on a Tuesday night Zoom call. And after we do our debrief, we go over our proprietary tools. We have another website called tools.ufo-track.com. And John has created, 15 or 20 proprietary tools on there. And we teach people how to use them. And then we also do teach if it's flying in a straight line, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. If it's rotating a little bit, it might be and still flying in a straight line. It's a tumbling satellite, probably. We're teaching people how to identify, say, geosynchronous satellites that just blink in the same spot in the sky every night. But yeah, we've got different shapes that we teach people how to recognize and report on, movement, and our tools, like I said, help analyze whatever footage we do get in. We want people to report and not second guess themselves that, is this really a thing? We want people to report. If we debunk it, fine. Like we had one the other day that turned out to be the SpaceX launch, but you know how some of those have really interesting clouds around them. But it was fun. There was something really peculiar in the sky, and we could see that from different locations, and it was fun. Actually, that 50 miles, that was way more than 50 miles. People could see the same thing up at the Continental Divide as well as in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that was a few hundred miles apart, and they were actually seeing the exact same thing at the exact same time. So, but it was up in orbit, so it was interesting. But yeah, we do try to talk about that. We do trainings. We do have tools if you happen to be an investigator. And we try to help people investigate their own sightings and figure out what might be happening, and then take it further if there's no real obvious explanation.
We've got several articles that each of us have written that are listed on the UFO-Track.com site. And then last summer, I did a training session with a group of people in the mountains here for photo forensics analysis of photos and videos. I was one of the presenters. along with several other notable people. So we do some training. A lot of the tools on my UFO-Track.com tools site have to do with photo analysis, but there's other ones. There's one that I really like that I created that tells you instantly for any location on the Earth and at any time what the planets are that are visible and how visible they are and how to find them, how many hands up from the horizon, azimuth and elevation, that kind of thing.
Horse hands type thing.
Right. So there's a wide variety of tools on that site that are of a training nature and just useful day to day.
On your website, do you have a map that people can check to see if there are other people in their area?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we show that now?
Can I share the screen? This is our sightings map. As you can see, we've had sightings all over the US and even down in the Australian area. This is sightings.UFO-Track.com. Again, there's a hyphen between UFO and track. Now, these sightings are color coded, and the blue ones are UFO Sense magnetic trips. And the darker they are, the more opaque they are, the more recent they are. I start to age them out. They start to fade. The yellow ones are gravitic. Oh, no, this was a bright light. This is a public one. Pardon me. The yellow ones are a UFO Track member typed in the report.UFO-Track.com. And the pink one is a debunked one, and the green one is a public report. Somebody just typed in report.UFO-Track.com, and we got, actually, you can see there's a YouTube that goes with us. So if you click through to that, you can see the YouTube or the art or anything. If there's anything extra, like this one doesn't have one, but if there's anything extra, as far as evidence, you can see it right here. If you click on through to that, it'll go to YouTube or it'll go to an image or it'll go to a podcast or whatever for the information. So that's the sightings. So this is when we say we want to see something track across the U.S. When we start to see these bright blue and yellow tracks across the U.S., we're going to know that we've got a live event. And that's in real time. If somebody had a UFO sensor reported it just now, it would show. This is our membership in the U.S. We have some up in Alaska, as you can see, but this is our current U.S. membership. Where are you located? You said you're Central Time. Where are you located?
I'm in San Antonio, and there might be one right by me. Can you zoom in on Texas?
She's in Seguin.
Seguin, okay, that's a little bit southeast of me. I don't know if it's 50 miles. It might be within 50 miles.
There's the 50-mile radius.
She's actually at 100 miles. We have her at a special
Oh,
call.
that's right.
San Antonio is within 50 miles. So, but the problem is she does not have a device. She is just a member. The blues are devices, and the yellows are people that just signed up to be members. So there is not a device in the San Antonio area. Not yet.
Yeah, they're going to be soon. Yes.
They are available to order if you go to UFO-Track.com. Here, this is UFO-Track.com. This is a hub for all of our things, but you can see this third entry right there is the UFO Sense box. And then, of course, if you want to see how it works, go to the UFO Track channel. We've got plenty of videos out there that show what we've got going.
How much is the UFO Sense device?
They're $100 plus $10 shipping.
Now, what makes what you guys are doing different from MUFON?
MUFON doesn't have a device like this. They have been working with MADAR in the past.
Well, just the easiest answer is this is real time what they're collecting evidence on the back end. What we want to do is cooperatively work with UFO investigative agencies such as MUFON, that when we have an event, we collect all the data because there might be multiple witnesses that we can hand them. There might be multiple photographs that we can hand them. And we can give them a package of data that is really got some teeth so that they can do a real time kind of a post-mortem investigation, which is what they do. So what they do is just investigate events after the fact. What we do is report on them in real time and try to collect data in real time. And that's the difference, is that we're doing this as, say, a first responder where they're the doctor at the hospital, if you
I
like
like
that
that.
analogy.
There are quite a few different sensors, several different sensors for UFO detection, but as far as I know, none of them have this networking social aspect of it that can help get better quality and more people out witnessing the single event.
Does the device send out some type of signal itself, like a Bluetooth signal?
Not from that device. We do have another device that you might be kind of hinting at called UFO-CQ. We could talk about that too, but the UFO Sense is just a detection. The only outgoing signal from it is through the Wi-Fi to the server to let it know that an event has been detected.
It's very, very passive.
Yeah.
What is the UFO-CQ?
It's another device that looks very similar in size and shape, but it has an extremely bright red LED that is easy to send messages with in Morse code. So you use your smartphone. Well, it disappears if I get it off there. You connect with your smartphone to it very easily, and you can set the device on a picnic table, and in the little app that runs on the phone, you can type in any message you want, hopefully a friendly message to the sky, and then hit start, and it'll flash this message repeatedly with a little delay between each cycle. And you can set the speed, like human speed or alien speed, which is very fast, but it's still Morse code, pure Morse code in light flashes. And we've had a couple anecdotal results already with it, but we're waiting to get some really good results. We have a theory that communication in kind is a real thing. So if a person sees a UFO and they flash their headlights, often they get a flash back. It might be that they can communicate at about the same level as what we communicate to them. So using Morse code, maybe we can tell them, come and visit with us or something, whatever you want. There's no restriction on what you say, but I would say stick to a friendly message.
We did a Skywatch not too long ago. It was October. We did a Skywatch, and we did the UFO CQ and said, UFOs, please show yourself. And we got incredible footage of stuff through our low light camera so it could see things that we couldn't see with our naked eye. And the person I was with also had a low light lens, night vision monocular, and we could see tons of lights, just lighting up our little sensor on the camera like a Christmas tree. The little preview was just going crazy because there were lights everywhere. But when we stared at the horizon where these lights were, couldn't see a thing. But we just asked UFO, show yourselves, and it did to the technology. It was crazy. We had 2 cameras going at that point. We had a Skywatch with 2 cameras, and we detected that those lights were 27 miles away and 27,000 feet up. So it's way higher than helicopters. And it was, it lasted for hours. We filmed for hours, and we got those lights just circling all the time. So military exercises, I don't know, maybe, but there weren't any military bases over there. We really can't come up with a reasonable explanation, but we just said, UFO, please show yourselves. And then halfway through the night, we just said, UFOs, thank you, because we think they did. So there's a YouTube on our UFO-Track channel that just says that we sent out a message, and the sky talked back. And it's really fun. There was just an amazing set of lights in the sky.
Fortunately, it's one of those nights where we had the 2 cameras so we could do the triangulation I was talking about. Because some of them look like they could be satellites, some of them look like airplanes, but when you triangulate, you can actually get the exact distance and altitude and those kind of calculations when you do it right.
Do you think people should take precautions when trying to make contact?
I'm kind of convinced that if they were going to be harmful to us, they could have done it so easily, so long ago, that I don't personally feel that we're any current threat. But that's my personal opinion, of course. I don't perceive any real threat.
We haven't ever seen anything like so up close and personal that it was frightening. But you can put anything you want in this UFO CQ. We don't try to edit it. So you could say, come abduct me, please. I wouldn't recommend that, but anybody that wanted to could put in whatever they wanted to. I wouldn't put up anything hostile. I would send up as much love and peace and goodwill as you possibly could send out, and let the electronics just send it to the sky all night long. That'd be really good. But fear comes into it when you start thinking about all that stuff. And I think fear is something that prohibits them from contacting us. They got to have willingness on both sides, and they get shut down with fear. That's why a lot of people, when they do go out, secretly, they're a little bit afraid, or they're in an unfamiliar situation, and so they're tense or something, and that might prohibit seeing things. So you just need to be, you're going to get what you give. Give love, and probably you'll receive love back. So, of course, there's no guarantee.
That seems to be the pattern.
What is the power button shortcut that you guys recommend for capturing high stress events quickly?
All you have to do on your phone is hit the power button twice and your camera turns on. You don't have to turn it on, go down to an app and look away from whatever's happening. And you should practice this. Click the power button twice and you're going to go straight into camera mode. Now that's photograph mode, not video mode, but take good photographs. And then try to go to video mode, and try to take something on the ground as well as up high, so that there's some type of physical reference that we can use when we're doing triangulation and various things. But the biggest thing is get to know this phone as quickly as possible, get it into camera mode. And most cameras, not all, but most cameras have, if you hit the power button twice, you go straight into camera mode. That's all I did. It's right there. I'm in camera mode. I just popped it twice.
Most phones have some way or another. I used to have one that you shake it and it would open the camera. iPhones maybe are a little different, but a lot of phones, they sort of got
standardized
it. Yeah, the double click on the power button. Give it a try and get it to be a muscle memory thing, so you can do it without even looking. That's what we try to tell people.
Practice is the biggest thing, and we encourage people to, if they see something fun in the sky, say they see a bird flying, turn it on and just try to get there and practice. When you've got that muscle memory, then you're not going to have the shakes as much. And when you know it's happening, as opposed to getting shocked by it, if you get the alert and you say, okay, I'm going to go out, you're pumped adrenaline wise instead of interrupted and shocked. So hopefully you don't have the jitteries as much as you might. But get to know that phone. That phone is going to document so much. And all you've got to do is just hit that power button twice and you can take a photograph of anything. And you don't even have to take your eyes off of what it is you're looking at, and you've got it. Just practice.
Y'all say it's critical to keep filming the event all the way until the end. Why is that?
Mm-hmm. Most of the times people sort of delay starting the video or film it. So that's one of the things, is get started. If you're not sure if you're looking at a balloon or something, doesn't matter. Go ahead and start filming real quick. And then, because a lot of people say, oh, I don't know, I was going to disappear real quick, so I didn't start photographing. But go ahead and start, and then you never know what's going to happen. It might suddenly hover, it might make a turn, it might suddenly start flashing lights. Events take place that are just really, really hard to predict. So go ahead and keep filming as long as you can.
And you do want to know where it goes, or you do want to know how it leaves. Did it just vanish? Did it go straight up? Did it just fly away? People investigating want to know these things. And if you've got it on video, that's the best thing. But no, as long as the event is happening, keep trying to report on it.
And then
record it.
Another detail is that even after it's gone, go ahead and pan around from where you're standing and get the background as much as you can. That kind of data can help. You just don't know, but it might be really useful for the analysis later on. So photograph the trees, the power lines, the houses, whatever's around you, exactly where you're standing, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because in the end, precise longitude and latitude and various other things will help us with our mathematical calculations.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about using the phone's magnetometer to be able to tell whether you've seen a UFO or not?
Yeah, originally I started off trying to develop an app that use the magnetometer in your phone. There's one of the main problems with the phone is if you're moving around at all, it completely destroys the ability to detect which way the Earth's magnetic field is. So if your phone is still sitting on your desk or at night on your, next to you, that can work. But it was getting to be really problematic. Different phones behave differently with the software. So that's why we decided it was much better to just go ahead and create a separate device that does the same kind of thing.
So you're saying that using the magnetometer was like a predecessor to the UFO Sense?
Yes, that's where we actually got started trying to get this to work. And it worked to some extent, but not as well as the UFO Sense device we ended up creating.
There's so many things you can't control on somebody else's cell phone when you do an app like that. And this was going to always run in the background, and you never knew when their phone was going to go to sleep, what that setting was, and how much battery drain our app would have on top of what they normally have. There was just too many complications, so we abandoned that. But your phone does have an accelerometer. Your phone does have some of these apps can take advantage of your phone's inner workings, which it's pretty sophisticated. So there are such things as a phone magnetometer and a accelerometer, and you can, like I've seen Travis Taylor use it for like an EMF field, things like that. So it's pretty exciting. But UFO Sense's magnetic field is, you're going to need that. It's going to be more reliable. It's running in the background. It only has one thing to do, and that it only has one job.
24/7.
Do any phones have night vision built into their camera?
Not that I know of. No, there's two kinds of night vision. Sometimes you have infrared that is projected out, and this lets you see things in the yard, wildlife and that kind of stuff. But the real good night vision is really low light amplification. So there are military goggles that you can see the stars, and you can see satellites that you can't believe that there's so many satellites up there with these, that they show up when you can't see them with the naked eye. We've got two cameras that are very low light sensitive, and that's where we can see satellites all the time, and we're trying to catch satellites that are in that no-fly zone rather than satellites. If you see an object going across the sky, steady pace, it's probably a satellite. And if you can't prove it isn't, you just have to go with that. But if you can get triangulation going and calculate that it's 60 miles up, then you know it isn't a satellite. You can kind of prove it.
Can you recommend a really good night vision camera? Like whatever you're using?
Yeah, we're using a Sony A7SII at A7S2 and
a 50 millimeter lens with it.
50 millimeter, yeah. And there's some variations on that, but that's a really good camera with very low light capabilities. We've got two of them, so we can space them out 2 miles, 10 miles. It just varies where we are at, so we can get the triangulation.
I have to go now and take care of my grandson. And so it was really great talking to you, Jeff. Nice to meet you, and hope to see you again soon.
It was nice meeting you as well, EJ, and thank you for joining us.
Keep looking up.
John, what does disclosure look like or mean to you?
I've felt like for 80 years now, the military-industrial government complex has been trying to keep it under wraps. That's a personal opinion, of course, but we just haven't made any progress whatsoever on proving the existence of life beyond the Earth. And I'm convinced that there's life all over the galaxy and all over the universe. I actually wrote a little program. It's on my toolkit where you can calculate how many habitable zone planets there are in the universe. And using the latest data from NASA and other places for the number of stars in our galaxy, the number of galaxies, the percentage of solar systems that have a planet, the percentage of those that could be where liquid water could exist, so life could exist. Anyway, when you take all those calculations into play, it turns out that if each habitable zone planet were a U.S. penny, you could start stacking them up. The number of pennies would be so big that you could cover the whole entire continental United States land area completely, side by side, row by row, and to 6 miles deep. That's the number of probable habitable zone planets there are now. And there could be even more because they're finding more galaxies as they look further out. So I've got it. That's in the toolkit. There's an app that you can put in different numbers if you want to try experimenting with those numbers and see just how big the stack gets.
Earlier, you spoke about the no-fly zone. What is that?
That's the region from 20 miles to 100 miles, and that's a very approximate numbers. Balloons and airplanes and jets, everything man-made cannot fly above 20 miles. There's no atmosphere, so balloons can't go any higher. You need some sort of an engine that does not require oxygen from the air. So a rocket is one example, but rockets go right through. Meteors can come through that zone, 20 to 100 miles, but satellites can't orbit down to 100 miles. They've got to stay above 100 miles or they'll deorbit pretty quick. So nothing should be in that zone from 20 to 100 miles. When I was in high school, one of my first UFO experiences, I saw what looked like a meteor going across the sky, and it suddenly made a U-turn in a fraction of a second. So ever since then, I've wondered, how high was that thing? If we could prove that was only 60 miles or something like that, then it couldn't have been an airplane, couldn't have been a jet. It had to be something that was powered exotically with unconventional anti-gravity or something like that.
How does a person determine at what altitude these things are flying at?
The way we're trying to do it is with two or more cameras. If you can get, like what we're doing it with our night sky watches, we film the stars in the background, and from the stars we can get exact azimuth and elevation from stellarium and do a little complex calculation actually to get the exact azimuth and elevation of an object at a moment in time. And then if you have that from two cameras against the background of the stars, you can do the math to calculate exactly how far it is from the camera, from each camera. It worked out pretty good. We've experimented with like the International Space Station, highly visible, so we can photograph it exactly at the same time. And I even created another device that we can put in front of the camera that uses GPS signals to get exact time, so both cameras are synchronized in time perfectly. Anyway, doing all that, we can get a calculation of the International Space Station. In the one case that I remember we did last summer, we came up, I think it was 265 miles, and it was actually only about 5 miles off for the actual altitude. So I feel really good about that. So if we see something other than the International Space Station, we'll be ready to calculate. And if we can find something again in that no-fly zone, I think that's worth a lot towards disclosure. It kind of forces the question, what's going on?
Can you tell us about any of your personal experiences witnessing crafts or anything else?
In high school, I saw something that made a U-turn in the night sky, and that's where I really got interested in just how high was that. But going back to the communication in kind, where people will flash their headlights at an object and it'll flash back, or other kind of communication at about the same level as what the person does, it'll respond about the same way. I accidentally kind of had a very interesting episode back in 1978, I think it was, when I lived in a mobile home on the outskirts of Lincoln, Nebraska. And for several nights in a row, there were UFOs being reported on the local radio station. So I got very interested. I got to go see if I can go find this UFO. But one morning, I just had a crazy idea for an experiment. And the kind of thing you do and you just don't tell anybody about it because it's so weird. But I created a message and I split it up into two parts using the ASCII code. I don't want to get too technical, but I use the ASCII code for the characters, and I use random numbers that I generated with this PDP-8 computer in my mobile home, which sends out electromagnetic signals. You could put on headphones and hear every time the row of lights would change, you could hear a different tone. So I had it figured out, okay, well, if anybody's up there listening to my radio frequencies here from my mobile home, they'll hear strange tones. So I created a series of these and wrote down the numbers for them, combined those two parts of the message using exclusive OR. You could decrypt the message. But okay, after all that, the message was, UFO meet me at top of hill west of Lincoln tonight about 9. And so I sent the message out partly through my pager, a radio signal all over town to my pager. I was working for the railroad and they would call me on the pager. and partly through the numbers on this computer. So it was pretty weird and wild, and nobody could ever figure out what the message was unless you got both halves of that signal and could put it together. So in my imagination, somebody up there in the sky could be smart enough to do that. Okay, so then I forgot about it. That was in the morning. I said, okay, that was crazy. My brother and I went out that night to look for UFOs. I completely forgot about this experiment. Didn't tell him or my wife or anybody about it for years, actually. But we went out and drove around, didn't see anything. Came home about 10 o'clock, dropped him off, got to my mobile home, and my wife was freaking out. We had an infant daughter. She said that we were parked at the edge of a dairy farm. The cows had gone crazy. The dogs had been barking. Our daughter had cried really loud. The TV had gone to snow and noise, and she was just totally freaked out. So I felt very guilty for going out looking for UFOs when, I figured she just her imagination probably. The next day, I listened to the radio to see if any events had happened, and sure enough, a lady and her whole family had seen something. So I got her name and gave her a call. She said her whole family had seen massive blinking red lights up on the road at the end of the long driveway. They went out in the yard and he would watch for 2 or 3 minutes. And then suddenly, they thought maybe it was emergency vehicles up on the road. All of a sudden, this massive red blinking lights flew up into the sky and flew away. So, okay, well, where do you live? So she told me where she lived, and I about freaked because it was right over the hill from our house. She was looking northwest, right towards our house. And it was about 9 o'clock. So did I call them in and they were there and I missed the opportunity by driving around out in the country? Perhaps, I don't know. But it's way too much of a coincidence. It probably did. And I didn't even think about it for many years, but in recent times I realized that was perhaps a communication in kind experiment that I failed to follow up on, but it was fun anyway. I promised my current wife to never do that without telling her.
Some of my guests have videos of what I would call plasma orbs. And you may know what I'm referring to. And if you do, what do you think those are?
Well, I actually had an experience with that where my grandson, we had 2 photographs. My grandson had a little orb right around his forehead, and he was making Christmas cookies in the kitchen, and there's this orb right there. Another time we were making pizza and homemade pizza, and there's an orb in front of him. And I got to thinking about that. What in the world? But I realized that both pictures had been taken with a flash. And in both cases, we were working with flour, Christmas cookies and pizza. So I did an experiment where I sprinkled blew some flour dust in the air, used the flash, and sure enough, lots and lots of orbs. So in that case, a flash with a particle close to the camera can create an orb. But I've seen a lot of other orbs that you can't explain that way. So this is just some of them. The first thing to ask is, was a flash used, and could there have been any dust particles in the air?
I guess I'm referring to what people would classify as UFOs. They're up in the sky, they're at night, and they orb-like, but they're kind of morphing. It almost looks like they're spinning and changing shape. Do you know what those are?
I have no idea, but I have noticed that there are a lot of variety to the UFO experiences. And so my theory goes back to the number of planets out there that we might be being visited at a continuous, constant rate. Just every civilization comes around every so often. Maybe the little grays live close by, so they show up more often. But I think there's UFOs of so many different types that come to the planet just to look around. This is my own theory, of course, but I kind of think that there are a lot of similar but different, exactly the same, only different, so what I like to say, types of UFOs. Some of them could be plasma orbs. There might be plasma life forms inside of stars that can come to our planet and look around. I don't know, but that's a theory too. There just seems to be a lot of variety. And I think the universe is plenty big for a lot of variety.
So do you feel that the UFO Sense device can detect UFOs when others can't?
Possibly. There might be some UFOs that it can't detect, but the big advantage with the UFO Sense is that not only you will detect it, but you can get the message out to other people that can get out there and see it. That's the big advantage, is the network, being able to connect with other people so that you can find other people could see something and you can hear about it right away, get out, have a better chance of seeing something. We need multiple witnesses. That greatly increases the credibility. If one person goes out and sees something going across the sky, it's not really credible. It's hard to really prove that it's anything useful information wise. But if 2 or 3 people in the neighborhood go out and they all see it and have similar reports, then you've got the credibility goes way up. So that's one of the big goals of UFO-Track. And then, of course, the other big goal is to get the multi-cameras. And if everybody's got a phone in their camera in their pocket nowadays with the cell phones. So if we can increase the number of photographs and videos, I go back to the Phoenix Lights event. In my mind, I continuously go back to that. If we had UFO-Track set up and there were like 3 or 4 UFO Sense devices and 100 members in the Phoenix area, at that time, the whole event would have been completely different. People would have been out in groves. Everybody could have been notified to go out and see it, and people would have been able to take pictures, and we'd have a lot better evidence. Hardly any photographic evidence came out of that whole Phoenix Light event, and we should change that. And I think we have the ability to do that.
It also would have been great if you had this set up back a year and a half ago or so when all the drones were happening.
Yes, then we could tell how high they are, the altitude, and figure out. That's a perfect example of where if we had this going when those drones were there, we could get a lot better data, the data that we just haven't gotten so far. How fast were they moving? How high were they? Were they really drones? Or we could maybe rule them out or figure out that they must be military drones rather than hobby drones. Just all kinds of information could come out of it if we had more people out with cameras and could get better data.
In the beginning, I mentioned that you are an author. Tell us about a couple of your UFO books.
Okay. Yeah, I've written technical books also, but the 2 books I've written for UFO subjects are Proactive Disclosure, and it gives you ideas on how to help bring about disclosure, what we can do as citizens. Join the UFO Sense and UFO-Track network is of course the biggie, but there are other things you can do. And I talk about the probabilities, what can we do to help bring about disclosures? So that whole book is covering that whole subject. The other book is how to investigate UFOs with your smartphone. And in the past, I had a big box full of, this and that, tape measures, tape recorder, all these kind of things for investigating out in the field. So if you get a call and you need to go talk to a witness, you got all these tools. Well, a lot of those can be replaced with your smartphone. Nowadays, you can do a tape recorder in your smartphone. You can record a conversation. You can determine your exact latitude and longitude real quickly. You can take photographs of all kinds of evidence. So, and the list goes on. And the apps keep evolving, but basically your phone is a huge tool for being able to investigate UFOs. Whether you're a professional investigator with one of the organizations, or you just want to do it on your own so you know more about the subject and can help get some good data out there.
Where can people go to find out more about these books?
They're both on Amazon. Just search for John Clark Craig is my full author name, so you can search for that. That's probably the easiest way to get to it. I've got several other books on technical natures, but those are the 2 on UFOs.
How can people reach out to you and ask you questions if you're open to that?
Sure. UFO-track.com is the best place to go for everything we do. There's a contact link in there. I don't remember exactly where it's at, but we keep the contact links in there so you can get in touch with us. We're glad to help people set up their UFO Sense or whatever we can help with. We're really motivated to try to make some serious progress in this field. It's been 80 years of very, very slow and tedious progress towards disclosure. We're out to change that.
John, before we finish up, can you leave us with a last positive message?
The biggest message we always try to end with is to keep looking up. people need to just get out there and keep looking up, and have your smartphone ready, and do everything you can to get the data you can, if at all possible. Things happen and people don't even notice it. My whole life I've been looking up, and I've seen several very strange things, and other people I've talked to have never seen anything, but the big difference is I'm not sure they're looking up that much. We need to be aware of our surroundings. Every time you go out, take a glance up and find out there's more going on than you realize. I think that's the important thing.
John, thank you for your message, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Enjoyed it very much.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.